How's it going, everyone? Welcome to USA Rugby Previews and USA Rugby Solutions. We're going to preview USA versus Ireland, and first let's get into the Irish side. And so what we got is a relatively inexperienced Irish squad. They average about 10 to 11 caps. Their highest cap players in the mid-40s. But just to take you back a moment, you go back to November, and the lead Irish squad beat the All Blacks. So they have, and it was not really close in that matchup. But when they met again, it was a different result. But they can beat the best in the world. They can be the best in the world. So the depth of Irish rugby is very, very intense. They're there. So let's get into it. Cian Healy at loosehead. Neil Scannell at hooker. Tight head John Ryan. At 4 lock is Quinn Rue. At 5 lock is Devin Toner, captain, and blindside flanker Rhys Ruddock. At open side flanker Josh Van de Fleer. At 8 man is Jack Conan. At scrum half is Kieran Marmion. Probably kill that one. That scrum half is Kieran Marmion. Fly half is Joey Carberry. At inside center is Jacob Stockdale. At outside center is Luke Marshall. At right side winger is Gary Ringrose. At left side flanker is Keith Earls. And at fullback is Tiernan O'Halloran. Backing them up is Dave Heffernan, David Kilcoyne, Andrew Porter, James Ryan, Dan Levy, Luke McGrath, Rory Scannell, and Simon Zebo. So, getting into the USA side, I really thought once it's a Lions tour year, and how many Irish guys were named to the Lions, I thought we'd have a chance, especially, looking at who's on the Irish side overall, and their relative inexperience. But then we find out that Blaine Scully and Samuel Manoa are unavailable due to their injuries. We obviously knew about their injuries, but many of us thought they'd be back. So that's a little disappointment. The reality is they would be healthy enough to start practice, but not not play. No contact practice and stuff. So basically barely preseason type practicing. And then we've had 2 more injuries. Luke Hume went out. Matai Luda is replacing him. And then TD Lamostele was also injured in camp. And Paddy Ryan was called up to replace him. So Lamostele was supposed to start at loosehead, and will be replaced by Ben Tarr for the first match. So at 1, loosehead Ben Tarr. At 2, hooker Peter Malcolm. At 3, tight head prop is Chris Bowman. And at 4 lock is Nate Brakely. At 5 lock is Nick Savetta. At blindside flanker is John Quill. At open side flanker is Tony Lamborn. At 8 man is David Tamilau. At scrum half is Nate Augsburger. At 10 is fly half is AJ McGinty. At inside center is Martin Yosefo. At outside center, Marcel Braish. At right side winger is Ryan Matias. At left side winger is Mikey Teo. At fullback is Ben Sema. To be honest, I like Ben Sema up front at 10 when AJ McGinty wasn't available, but if you look at him, you don't really think he's going to be a very amazing tackler in the open field, but he really is. So Ben Seema at fullback is good. Backing them up, James Hilterbrand at 16. 17 is Joe Taufete'e. 18 is Patty Ryan. 19 is Matt Jensen. 20 is Andrew Durutalo. 21 is Sean Davies. 22 is Will Magee. And 23 is Bryce Campbell. To be honest, I like looking at this roster. First thing I liked Nate when he was on the wing. And I think if Blaine Scully would be available right now, Nate Augsburger and Blaine Scully in the backfield would be an amazing pair. And then at 9, I really liked Sean Davies during the ARC. So he just looked better to me. But it's quite obvious that Nate has earned a lot of respect from his teammates, and he's played really well, especially at the wing for Mitchell, and that's why he's captaining this side. There was no mention of a vice captain, but based on who has captained this side before, I think if Nate comes out and James Hilterbrand is in, Hilterbrand will be the vice captain. So as far as like the back line, that's really the only like questions I had about this. Before I get into the pack, I want to just talk about the players that aren't that are in the pool that haven't been named to the side. You don't have Todd Clever, you don't have Brakely, you don't have Waldron, you don't have Purpura, you don't have Dolan, and you don't have Hughes. I'm very surprised, really, with Cam Dolan not being on the 23 and Todd Clever not being on the 23. So it's just interesting to take a look at. You could say that Todd Clever is probably in the twilight of his career. He's 34, but usually when an Eagle is elected to the international athlete position for the board of directors of USAR, they're in their last 1 to 2 years of international play. So that's just something to think about. Todd's in shape. Todd, as most of you know, last played against Chile where he, I think, broke his arm and had to have surgery. It was his arm. It was in a sling. He had surgery. It might have been elbow surgery. I'm not exactly sure. Because, well, there's not a lot of press about rugby in the United States. Crazy, I know. So that's really, yeah, Todd not being on the side, I'm kind of concerned about a little bit. Not too much. But it makes me wonder not only on who was not named to the side, but this arrangement, because for me, I wouldn't put Peter Malcolm out there starting. I would put Joe Taufete'e in the hooker position. And it makes me think, since Peter Malcolm, Joe Taufete'e, and James Hilterbrand are on this side, I think rather than having Taufete'e play hooker, I think they might have him play at tight head, and Hilterbrand will play hooker. I've never seen Hilterbrand play tight head or loose head, so I can't really comment on that, but he captained the side from the hooker position during the ARC at several points as captain or vice captain for the side. So he's definitely got the leadership ability. He plays in the shoot shield competition in Australia. Shoot shield's no joke. It's professional. It's not super, but better than what we got here. So that's where I'm really sort of confused. Ben Tarr starting instead of Lamosateli makes sense. I think Patty Ryan's the only virgin cap here, so I think he'll definitely get blooded in this match and later on. So yeah, my only concern, I would just rearrange the front pack. I think you might even put Patty Ryan in for Ben Tarr and just be ready to go up front because Paddy's a pro. He plays for Newcastle, so just some interesting things to look at. This is the weakest Ireland team that we'll face. I think Mitchell has set the team up for success, and if he had negotiated to even leave right away, although I said in my previous op-ed that I think they should have let him go, but I think that would have caused issues, because the idea is to win every game this summer and to take not only the aggregate but to beat Canada twice and take the America's one slot for the World Cup. So that's very important. The player pool is as strong as it's been, so the side looks good. I just would have had Joe Taufete'e out there starting at hooker because that boy is big. He can plow. Man, look at his tape with the Worcester Warriors this year, and he went from the bench to starting very fast and has played a lot, has signed an extension, and he will be a great hooker for USAR and the Eagles going forward. Good selection. I felt that it could be rearranged. A little weak with some of the players we have in pool. Losing Taufete'e, I think, will hurt because he's so experienced. Paddy Ryan was a good call-up for him because he's a pro. And not all of our players in the Eagle Elite Training Squad are pros. And I think that's it. Go Eagles.